Hello, everyone. Gavi is once again on the beach, and this time, as you might have noticed, he has shaved. So that's important there for the climate, I guess. I'm still waiting to be struck by inspiration, which Gavi is a good part of. And we're looking to introduce you to the next podcast sequence that Gavi is going to do. We had a sequence. If you're familiar with the website and you're familiar with Yellow Brick Road thinking, you'll know that there is a sequence about polishing your diamond, about finding that inner piece of you that needs to be let out, polished, uh, living your story, so to speak. But once you find your diamond, once you look inside of it, what do you do with it? And that's what Gavi's here to talk to us a little bit about taking that understanding that you found and using it moving forward in your life. So Gavi, get us started if you would please.
Okay, so it's good to be back and to introduce a new successful series. Like you said eloquently in your introduction, that we used to do, we set up, I think it was an 8 week series. I don't remember, it was a long time ago. Wow, a lot of water under that bridge, thank God. We did on polishing diamonds, getting to
Right.
that concept of realization that you have something to give. And this came about as I was talking to you in the green room, right? Isn't
Right.
that the colloquial? So I was telling you that I was doing some spring cleaning, and I was going through, as usual, you take off your books, you wipe it down, and I got to the shelves, and I will say shelves as opposed to shelf of all the books I picked up in my life, and it's been quite a few about trying to be better and self-help and just motivational. And I stepped back and went, wow, I have a lot of books. And as you know, I tend to kind of think about wow, everything in my life. And I was like, wow, I got so many books and so many ideas and so many concepts. And it started me thinking about, how many people start a project or want to improve themselves and they get the books and they just don't move on from there. They accept they got to change. And then as I was pulling down, the books, I came across a story which I want to read to you that really inspired me to think about this. And just bear with me if you for a few things. This is how the story goes. So one bitterly cold night, Fred was embarking on his journey to see his spiritual advisor. The wind pierced his bones, and he was relieved to see a wagon passing by. The wagon stopped, and the driver happily offered Fred a ride. The driver was a liquor merchant, and Fred made himself comfortable amongst the many bottles of liquor that filled the wagon. Still chilled to the bone, Fred realized that drinking some of the vodka would warm him. Asking the driver, and he agreed, he had a small shot, and Fred started feeling warm through and through. Eventually, Fred arrives to his spiritual advisor, and the guru, right? He said, "Wow, I noticed there's a different aura about you. Please, something must have happened on your journey." And Fred said, "Yeah, I got to tell you what happened." He counted the events of his journey, and this is what he said: "The air had chilled me to the bone. I sat amongst the bottles of liquor for a while, and though the liquor had no power to warm a person, I still remained ice cold. Only when I drank a shot did I become warm." The guru smiled and taught him an important lesson. A person may dwell in an environment of inspiration, inspired by inspirational people, yet it can only have a great effect on him and warm his soul only once it is internalized. Books are like bottles, an exceptional vessel, but every book needs a reader to open in order for its life to enter into the world. And that got me thinking. I was like, whoa, this is so uh, you can go to like bookstores and libraries. And I said, there's a lot of books on it. And I was thinking to myself, then why does not money make people like, inspired and the world should be a better place? And then that's where the idea resonated. And then just to kind of add a caveat, again, I as the once, yeah, I pulled a book off, and guess what story I came up? The golden egg. You know
Right.
the story about the golden egg, about the guy who has an egg. It's a fables, the goose lays a golden egg,
Right.
right? And he's like, oh, and he starts thinking about it, and eventually he cracked the egg. No, he killed the. He
The
realized, like,
goose.
why don't I just pull it out the goose? And he killed the egg, and then that was the end of his dreams.
Right.
And I thought, wow, there's no consequences. There's no coincidences here, you
Right.
know. So I started thinking, let's make it the next stage. You got your diamonds. Let now wear it with pride. And I sat down and started to plan, a concept, and here we are.
So it was interesting when you mentioned this idea. I, of course, went to my own bookshelf with all my self-help books, and I'm big on sort of building positive habits. And I have several books on habits, and I went to Amazon, where so many people go to get their books now, and typed in books about habits.
Yeah.
And there's Atomic Habits, and there's The Power of Habits, and there's seven more pages I didn't go down. So the wealth of support we have in terms of books and information is there. But if we were truly open, there would be a lot of people on this planet with a lot better habits
Yeah.
based on the material out there to support them. And I'm not knocking the material. These
No,
are
no.
these are these are good books, but what I am saying is there's a disconnect between getting that information and putting it into practice, turning advice or thought into action. And that's the journey you're proposing to lead us on, isn't it? How to get past that. I know what I want to do. I've identified the truth that I want to live. Now, how do I get there? Right? And
Totally.
so there's a couple of things that I think about when you're doing that. And first of all, this idea, whatever someone's choosing, is going to be transformative, but it's also going to be scary. So what do you advise people to do to overcome that fear of change, to get out of their comfort zone? Or, in a slightly less kind way, to break free of the rut.
Valid question. So, as you know, I'll quote a quote and then we'll expend it. It's what I'm known to be, quoting stories and quotes. So, uh, um, the purpose of a question, right? I think is to find the answer, right? Because so many quotations, so many ideas. Let's ask you a question: what do you want from life, right? And I think that's what we talked about in we touched on it in polishing the diamonds due to the fact that, okay, just like the question you asked, what do you want? But once you get serious, like, this the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step,
Right.
right? So first thing is realize you're on a journey. That's the first thing I would say. You have to have an idea that I want to be fitter. I want to be wealthier. I want to have more meaningful relationship, right? Start with those. That first of all, you're on a journey. What journey you want to have determines what you want to start on. It may change because that's just the concept of growth. So it's the same thing. What's the purpose of a question? What's the purpose of a journey? Is to find a answer, right? Because sometimes the journey itself is the answer. You don't realize it, but as you get up, um, and as you start, I guarantee you that what you started off as a question may not be what you ended up with the answer, or what vice
Mm,
versa, what the answer you wanted was not really what the question was, right? So you may want to, I want to get healthier. But as you go a long way there, you realize that what the answer is not want to get healthier. I really want good friends,
right.
right? Which in turns you got a double thing, which
Right.
could in turn to something else. So that's the first question. Second one is, and we've discussed this at large, don't expect it to be easy.
Right.
Don't be expected easy at all. I mean, it's pleasant, but
Right.
it's sometimes real growth, real maturity is confronting things you don't want to, is willing to face it, which
Right.
takes a huge thing. Also realizing that, again, like I said to you, what you think is the answer may not be the answer, so you got to be patient, right? And then the most important thing I tell all my clients and I'll stress it time and time and again. We're human.
Right.
And the reason why I say that sounds so cliche, is that human beings have paradoxes, human beings have faults, human beings has aspirations. You can overcome it, right? So whatever there's resistance, there's going to be challenge,
Right.
right? You're not going to suddenly change overnight. This is going to be a journey, and because we're humans, and we're going to have days that we don't want to, and the days when we're going to fall, and the days that we're going to be inspired, and the days where you're like, I don't want to even face this, and you put it in. But because you started your journey, and because your human's natural DNA is to be better, right? And this is why I think we're leading into the first really chapter, the introduction, is that we're all created to act, to
Right.
do things, and we whether we want to admit it or not, but we all want to do something. So anyone who is self-centered, I guarantee, is slightly unhappy, right? But they're caught in this quagmire of, again, not realizing that they have the ability to, whatever given tasks you've given, you can use it to be either a productive member of society, a productive member of the family, productive member of people that people looking, right? And so a lot of wealthy. I mean, and I'm talking about the zeros on the right side of the point, right? They're miserable, and I guarantee a lot of them when they die, they'll be happy they had the money, but I guarantee you, and I'm going to make a very controversial statement. I guarantee you, they are on their deathbed. They wish they spent more time with more substantial efforts instead of, again, not knocking people who work hard. Go for it. You have to work hard. You got to be successful. But you get to a point of realizing that's not the be all and end all.
So you said a couple of things that I think it's important to tease out of your answer. And one is that you talked about people deciding, right, what they want. And I think we have to remind people it's okay to want things. It's
Yeah.
okay to want more for yourself, right? That's the first thing. And the other thing is that, like you said, it's not going to be easy, but it will be pleasant. Because at the end, you will feel better about it, even if you go through a difficult process to get through. And the third thing you talked about was the journey. And for some people on a journey, they need a guide, right? Some people, they have books for signposts or they have experiences, but other people, need a guide. And I don't know if you're familiar with Joseph Campbell's cycle of the hero or the mythic cycle, but there's usually a mentor or guide that shows up for the hero, right? When the hero is faced with a task. And that's a service you provide.
Yeah.
You act as a guide and a sounding board through your program and your company that people can reach out to when they decide that it's okay to want things and that they're going to dig deep and face some things and move into a future that they don't have to do it alone.
No,
And that
totally.
sometimes that view that you have, that impartial view, can be very beneficial to some people. So I wanted to point that out. That's not a shill for yellow brick road thinking so much as this idea that there are guides out there. And if you don't have one, we've got one here on the podcast that would be happy to move out from under his palm tree and engage with you in that way.
I'll make it even more enticing is that, again, as I said, we are human beings, and sometimes we look at someone who has got it,
Right.
right? Even that person who's got it, and they've, you know, they also need a guide and then a spiritual thing. Well, not because you know, again, because like I said, they're humans.
Right.
They're infallible, and they also have bad days, and they're also, even though they polished their diamond enough to believe in, but again, because you're human, there are days when leave me alone. I know it's meant to be, but I'm a human being.
But not
So
today. It's
sometimes
raining
that's also
today.
exactly, it's like it's kind of like, well, how can I tame that thing, Bob, and be like him? I'm like, well, if you look to him, my dad used to say everyone wears underpants,
Right.
right? So we're all human beings. So
Right.
yes, I think it's a great valid point, but also know that even the person who has got it also has someone to lean upon. I mean, if not for the sake of just good company and friendship and just, again, we've discussed this. One of the greatest things about friendship is that you get to a point of non-judgmentalism. You can just,
Right.
hey, ask that embarrassing question, right? And I'm willing to hear, you know, because they know that they're giving the best for you. And then again, you have to make that decision.
So as we move into this first session, which will start in the next podcast, how would you teach people to they've polished their diamond. How would you tell them to get ready for the journey of living their story, of wearing their diamond? What's the first small step that they can take? Not necessarily in the doing, but in their perspective. You're going to teach them how to do, but what's the perspective that needs to change as they embark on a personal improvement journey?
Um, I'm trying to find the right words. You know, um, you're
Or
halfway there.
how do
You're
they get
halfway
over the
there.
fear?
You're halfway there. And I know it
Yeah,
sounds ridiculous, but the minute you choose whether you are in an abusive relationship, for example, an extreme case, or you're an alcoholic, or
right,
you are, you don't know how to balance your books,
right,
or or you've got a messy room, right?
right,
And you want to clean it, and it's somewhat overwhelming, right? I I tell my clients all the time is that by you reaching out to me or anyone else, you're already a winner and you're halfway there. And the reason I say that is due to the fact that even though you may turn around to me, what do you mean? I haven't changed anything. Are you making that decision, that mental decision that I got to get a point I want to change.
right,
You made that decision. I haven't come to you. So
right,
that means that you have the conviction inside you that I want to be better.
right,
And I can't, and all the stories and advice and I can give you, anything more, right? I can't do it for you. You have to do it. So by you coming and making that commitment, even though I don't know where the journey is going to take me, I can't even see a an exit from the jungle. But you by making that first step, you are on your way to success. And then the second thing is that we talked about is that congratulations, welcome. Now realize there are a few things you have to realize for the journey for your backpack. You're human. It's going to be challenging, but it's going to be rewarding. It's going to look like you're getting nowhere, but reality is you're getting somewhere. Right? Even small things make a tremendous thing. And every so often, take time out, polish that diamond that cherish your victories. Right? Um, you know, so constantly review, right? Tell yourself, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm committed to this because I believe that there is going to be some success and it will come. Right? You've got to patience. You've got to be gentle with yourself. You've got to be realistic. You've got to understand. One of the I tell people one of the things is that things happen when you don't realize they're happening to
right. Things
you.
happen when you don't realize they're happening to you.
Right? So
Life
sometimes
is
we
what
try too
happens
hard.
between your plans.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
try too hard. We
yeah,
expect, what, if I come here, boom, it's going to happen.
right,
Again, I know I come by, for example, what do I say to people that who are overwhelmed? I'm like, just go to your desk, right? Now, let me tell you, you're overwhelmed by it. So you start with one thing. Let's do all the pencils. Right? Okay, I'm talking about our generation. People use pencils, but get an old coffee cup with the mug, the
right,
handle broken. Put all your pencils in there, right? Sharpen them, right? Bring a garbage can to them up, and then just take one item, right? Take all your pizza boxes and your crust. Just
right,
work on that,
right,
and then when you do that, you sort of see, oh, and then you get to a point. I tell people again, I make the story out. The table is 3 foot high, full of papers and whatever it is. And then all of a sudden you see the table and like, whoa, I've got somewhere, right?
I
And
like
then
I like that.
you
Right.
know, get
That's
rid of all
great.
and then I also say to them, take all your cans and realize you can get recycled, of each
Right,
5 cents. So if you got 20, you got how much you got there,
right, exactly.
So just motivation along the way, and that's what I want from this.
Right,
Again, number one thing is, you were created to act. You know, you
And
choose what you want to do. You want to be a better father, better husband, a better wife, better teacher. Better gym instructor if you want. How can you make? Because that's what we all are, right? Let's be honest. You have something to give. As quote Shakespeare. Life is a play. You are the
right.
main actor, right? So know your lines. They come to see you. They come for you to sing that opera because you've perfected your thing up, or you are, whatever it is, you can do it. And then that act, whatever you do, you can bring, small opportunities of kindnesses and opportunity of inspiration. Right? Me? Who am I? I'm just a janitor. Well, say hello to people,
Mhm.
right? Take pride in whatever you do, and because you take pride in it, and because you realize, wow, I have an opportunity. You don't realize how people are watching each other. People are looking for help, they're crying out for help, looking for inspiration. If they see someone do a great job, right, it takes pride in it. They go, oh, you don't know how you inspire the person. I always say again, I tell people just, I mean, my kids when they were younger, they were blown away. Every time I go shopping,
Mhm.
I would always say thank you and God bless you.
Right.
And guys, you can, why are you saying that? I'm like, you don't know. First of all, be
Mhm.
thankful,
Right.
appreciative that you're able to go, someone's able to give you, service, right? And the same time, saying, God bless you. I'm telling you right now, my kids were blown away. Now they're used to me saying it. But the reaction people would give me, like, oh, thank you, God bless you back, or
Yeah.
thank you, appreciate being noticed. You don't know, you make their day. Like I told you the story about the valedictorian by
Yeah.
just saving someone's life. It's changed life. Now I'm so used to do it because I want to do it, but I'm if I'm honest enough with myself, I am sure that by just saying thank you, good morning, good afternoon, God bless you, whatever, made someone's day. And who knows, it could have given
We
someone the inspiration to not kill himself, or
right.
or just say hello to his person, his next door neighbor, and they're now friends. You never know.
Right. The ripples go out.
Yeah,
And we are going to teach you, well, I say we, and I mean you, Gavi, are going to
together.
teach our listeners how to go out and do that. So for now, get ready to go on a journey. We'll be dropping podcasts about every week here,
Hopefully,
going over a path to wearing that diamond that you've found. For now, I'm David, and this is
I'm
our
Gavi.
source of wisdom, Gavi. I guess thank you and God bless you.
God bless you, my dear friend.